welcome to episode 10, the last episode in season 1 of Off the Lip, and we're back at Watergate Bay here at the hotel. And today, my final guest of the season is going to be launching an incredibly exciting new venture in September, which we're going to get onto. Now, you all remember as young kids, growing up as young groms, you'd wait till in the newsagent, the next episode of a local magazine came out, and you'd then thumb through it and get that insight into what was going on in the world of surfing. You occasionally would be excited to see the new Reef Brazil advert, and they were often displayed over mine and my brother's walls. Well, today we've got the brand new Director-in-Chief, the Editor-in-Chief himself of Wavelength magazine, Chris Thomson, coming to talk to us. Welcome to Off the Lip.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute treat. And it's always good to get someone in another area of the surf industry. We've spoken to people such as Lucy in our last episode. We talked to competitors, people that have kind of followed a career in surfing themselves. But what drives their careers is often journalism, because journalism sells products, journalism sells their brand, okay? So recently you took over Wavelength magazine, a magazine I used to buy ever since I was a grom. Tell me why, when that opportunity arose, you thought, Chris, that's what I want a piece of that.
Well, that's a good question. Like yourself, I grew up with Wavelength and Caravan and all those great surf magazines. And I started surfing when I was 9 on the Isle of Wight. So it was a place where you kind of absorbed all news and surf literature, because we only surfed maybe a couple times a month. So when the opportunity came to take Wavelength on, the other option was the previous owners were just going to let it die. And it's as old as I am. It's 1981. It's been around for decades. I felt kind of a bit of a moral obligation to just do our best to make it happen and continue it for another 43 years and just bring it more into the modern age.
I'm really glad you have, because, you know, we get Tracks magazine and we get some of the magazines that come from overseas, which have always been great to read. But we have to promote our UK surf scene. And if a magazine like Wavelength or Carve or either any of them were to go, you're going to lose that connection we have with our community, aren't you? So you talked a little about growing up in the Isle of Wight. I always like to talk to my guests and take it right back to the start. So how did you get into your passion for surfing?
So I started when I was 9. I was skateboarding, Cowes High School, so not much surf around there. But I started working at Offshore Sports back then, which was the main kind of surf water sports shop. Just loved it. I just fell in love with surfing. It was something that no one else was really doing at school. And then when I turned 17, I left college and jumped on a National Express coach to Newquay and moved into Fishable Backpackers, and I've been in Newquay ever since, apart from a little stint in Canada.
So some big names have come from the Isle of Wight. Johnny Fryer, you know, there's some rippers that have come from there. As an island, I wasn't too far away from it, actually, last Saturday when I interviewed Zoe Smith, one of our para surfers. Mm-hmm. So is it a temperamental island for waves, or does it get more waves than people realise on the Isle of Wight?
That would be telling.
Oh, a local on the island never gives away their secrets.
Yeah, I mean, the Isle of Wight's home to the oldest surf club in the UK. Mm-hmm. So it's got some really rich heritage and some, like you say, some really good talent has come out of the Isle of Wight. It does pick up more swell than Bournemouth. It has the added benefit of having that additional coastline, so those big southwesterly wind swells, and you know they wrap around the island. It's very tidal though, and it is English channel, and it, you know, for me personally, I grew up reading Wavelength and going, wow, Newquay, Cornwall, it's another level, and that's kind of what drew me to the southwest.
Yeah, and you can understand the kind of consistency of the waves we have here. We're on the north coast, we're open to it, the Atlantic. But, you know, whenever we've held our interclub events as part of Surfing England's kind of contest scene, the Isle of Wight always come in force. And those guys have got to get off the island, get a ferry across, drive all the way over. It's not the same as like maybe Newquay just rocking out of their beds and heading on down, or
Yeah.
myself in Bude just coming down the road. You guys are fully committed over there, weren't you?
Yeah. I mean, the ferry is a nightmare, so to leave the island is a commitment in itself.
So you find yourself here in Newquay. So roughly when did you move down here, do you reckon? What sort of time?
So it would have been 17, so it would have been kind of very early 2000s, or 2000, just after millennium.
And have you kind of pursued a kind of a career in journalism? Obviously now, as you find yourself and reside with Wavelength, what was your background in kind of like your education in that area?
Well, ironically, I failed GCSE English, but I always had a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit. My main drive is to be able to surf every day and fit earning money or creating money around that. So when I was old enough, I trained as a beach lifeguard, ended up coaching private lessons actually at Watergate Bay. One of the first people to do private lessons in Europe at the time, and then created Errant Surf Holidays. We ran that for about 6 years, opened a place in Spain. We were running tours to the Maldives and Morocco, just as social media was really coming out as well. So we kind of captured the audience on social and using SEO and Google Ads. After about 6 years there, my wife Teresa, she got stage 4 lymphoma. We had 3 kids under the age of 4, and we were only in our kind of mid-late 20s then. So we moved to Canada, sold Errant Surf, and then kind of like life went almost full 360, and I ignored surfing for my 30s and snowboarded, dirt biked, lived in the mountains, ran a marketing agency, and then life carried on, and then we moved back about 4 years ago. So we've kind of come full circle. When I moved back, I kind of said to myself that I wouldn't get back into the surfing industry. Completely ignored my own advice.
Yeah, go figure. That didn't quite work.
Yeah, lasted about 3 weeks. Initially, it was we created Longboarder magazine, and that was just a side project for myself and a good friend Sam Bleakley. That was so much fun. Off the back of that, we knew that obviously print advertising is really hard to come by. So we created 10 Over Surf Shop to support Longboarder magazine. And then what happened next was the opportunity to take on Wavelength came up because we were published in Longboarder magazine, and that's where we are kind of today.
It's an amazing journey, like as you described, full circle.
Yeah.
I'm sure your kids have had some incredibly enriching experiences to see the mountains in Canada, to live those kind of like cold winters because they're long.
Yeah.
There's just snow everywhere. It never really melts, does it?
Yeah.
And then to get back over here, they're enriching lives. It's just wonderful that you could do that. And I hope your wife is better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
The kind of collaboration you had with Sam Bleakley, I know Sam very well. He went to school with my wife.
Oh, nice.
So down in Sennen. And Sam is an incredibly intelligent, articulate, incredible journalist. He's written many books. He's obviously heavily involved with the WSL as one of their commentators around kind of the events and the ISAs and the game. It's just, he's wealth of knowledge. I can see how you guys work together so well to kind of drive forward. So we get to Wavelength, and Wavelength, when you took over, you've actually changed its kind of role and how it's being run. Explain a little bit more about that.
Yes, we've changed a few things. So Wavelength was established in 1981 in Newquay by John Conway and Jeff Tideman. But when we took it over, I think we were actually the 4th owners of it. We made a decision that really we were taking Wavelength over to keep it going for future generations, because there is a lot of archives and a lot of good stuff that it's captured the history of British surfing in all in the old issues and the archives. So we wanted to kind of keep that going for another 43 years. So we actually put it into a community interest company and not for profit status, which means basically it's not owned by shareholders, it's not being run for profit, it's being run for the community. And by community I mean the surfers, the creatives, the photographers, the writers, the videographers, and so on. So,
and in terms of people that can access to maybe approach you to be able to provide photos or write journalistic parts to it, you're always open to people approaching you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've actually Jason Locke, who's joined us from Surfline as our strategic partnership manager. They've just recently published an article about how to submit to Wavelength and kind of really helped clear that up for people that are unsure if they can or how they can submit articles or photography.
Amazing. I have a real close friend from my childhood in West Wales called Will Bailey.
Yeah.
He's a professional photographer. You'll know of Will. And Will, he just had a passion for photography, got involved in surf photography. I'm actually going to get Will on Off the Lip because it'd be really great to explore that side, because as a magazine like you, having really talented UK-based surf photographers is critically important to fill your editorials and
Yeah.
be able to get those magazine shots that you want and those front covers, because we want to know about our UK based surfers. We love the world surfers, we love the world tour, but we don't really sometimes connect with them than we do with our own surfers, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. And the UK is so rich in its surf and surf culture, and that it's so diverse as well. Many different coastlines and different communities, and there are thousands of stories that go untold. So it's kind of our job as Wavelength to kind of find those stories and bring them to share them with everyone else, whether that's through articles, video, or photography.
You talk about video because historically a surf magazine was a mag you held, you thumbed through, and you'd have piles of them in your bedroom. How does a surfing magazine now transition into a world of digital space?
Great question. So you'll have to come to our office soon. In the office, you'll see we've got every single issue of Wavelength dating back to 1981. And what's really interesting is you can see the transition of a surf magazine or Wavelength through the decades, actually. And we're at the point now where Wavelength is published twice a year. It's a much higher quality publication. It's something that you would keep. It's not something that you'd read and chuck in the recycling bin. And all the stories are very long form content. They're more kind of books than magazines, because magazines up until social media was the platform that we got our news, the surf contests, our gear reviews, wetsuit reviews, all that kind of stuff. We get that now from social media and from the website. So print wise, we have very minimal advertising. It's a break from your phone. It's a break from doom scrolling. You take it to the beach, you read it, you cherish it, you put it on the shelf. And we support that by having a very strong digital presence. So the Wavelength website gets a considerable amount of traffic. It's been around for a very long time. It's got 4,500 articles on it. Has a very strong social media audience. So we can leverage that by providing digital partnerships with brands that supplement the nice to have, the cherry on top, which is print.
Yeah, I think that's how they work in a modern world, don't they? You talk about what I would describe as some of my prized possessions, like that coffee table book that you never ever let go. It's always there. When your friends come around your house for a cup of tea, they can't help but thumbing through it, and it's just there, and it's got images of far-flung places but also local places. And I think that's where we are now in our world. We so much now get quick fix from social media, just a quick image and a reel that pops up. But actually, when we need to disconnect from society, I don't want to scroll past 15 adverts to get to the part I need to see. I just want to be immersed fully in it, don't I? And escape.
Yeah.
And that's an exciting world to be.
Yeah. It's really interesting as well. Like our younger kids, Summer and Joel, they're twins, they're 16. They collect analog cameras. They have a CD collection. They're collecting vinyls.
Old school.
So it's kind of like people, I think we're going full circle again, where we're just sick of flicking through our phones. And I think the younger generation even appreciate that even more as well. So a magazine is
I think you are absolutely right, Chris. I'm a teacher. Many schools in the southwest across the country have got a zero phone tolerance. And I remember in the transition when phones came into life at school, because I've taught at Bude for 20 odd years, I'd look at dinner time and all the kids would be on their phones, but they'd all be doom scrolling and none of them would be talking to each other and interacting. And we have a zero phone policy. And now when I'm out of duty at lunchtime, kids are playing sport or kicking a ball around, or they're having this amazing chat, or some of them are sitting reading. And because the phones aren't allowed, and they might be sharing magazines, which are absolutely fine. And we're going back to your and my childhood, which when we were in schools, which develops those connections and those understandings. And we need to get into that more, don't we? Yeah. It's really important. So we got Wavelength. Wavelength is, I think, in a great place. It sounds exciting. And I can't wait to start getting into those editorials. You are about to launch probably one of the biggest gatherings in the UK surf scene for quite a number of years. Tell me a little bit about UK Surf Expo.
So the UK Surf and Skate Expo is happening on the second weekend of September this year. The reason why is really an extension of why we took Wavelength over, to build a platform for people to kind of come together and celebrate surfing and skateboarding. Initially, it started as the Wavelength UK Surfer Awards. So that is a publicly voted celebration of our UK surfers in 12 different categories, including surf photography and surfboard shaping. But we planned that in November last year. That was extremely well received by the brands, because they agreed with us that we needed something like that in the UK, because it was about bringing people together. And then after a few weeks of launching that, we were down in Tagazout for the Tagazout Surf Expo, and we're chatting to some of our European friends over there, and they just couldn't believe that as the third biggest surf market in Europe, that we didn't have or haven't had an expo for about 15 years. And so a penny kind of dropped, and I was like, well, if we're going to do the UK Surf, if we're going to do the Wavelength UK Surfer Awards, then let's go all in. Let's put together a real, one of those traditional kind of expos, and bring people together, create a platform that brands and athletes can get together and do some cool stuff. Have a bit of a focal point in the year for everyone.
So you're going to have your awards. Now, the awards have already gone live in terms of voting.
Voting is...
So how does a person out there following the podcast go and vote for the surfers?
So you would go to the Wavelength website, wavelengthmag.com, and in the menu is the UK Surfer Awards. It takes a few minutes. It's a form you go through in 12 different categories, and you list who your favorite surfer is. So the nice thing about that, it's not the industry choosing, it's not a brand or an association choosing, it's not contest driven. It's just purely
voted by the people.
Voted by the people.
Yeah.
So that closes end of May. The top 4 finalists are then invited to the award ceremony on the Friday night of the UK Surf and Skate Expo.
It's amazing. I've already voted.
Nice.
And there is such a great amount of talent this year. I mean, you've got all sorts of different world champions, European champions. We've got some underground shredders. We've got incredible photographers, videographers. The surf scene in the UK at the moment is just exploding with new raw talent.
Yeah.
Okay. Who personally has been turning heads for you? Who have you been impressed with? That might be hard to be able to pick it. But...
Yeah, that's hard to pin it down. If I had to, I mean, you've obviously got like Lucas and so on, but I'll probably give a bit of a shout out to Willow Smith, to be honest, like
local Newquay girl.
Courageous. She's coming on unbelievably, really strong surfer, confident.
I met Willow. She came up to one of our Bude Wave Riders like grassroots events. And first of all, it was amazing to see a girl from Newquay to come out of Newquay and come all the way up to Bude to do it, which is really great. Her parents are really supportive, and she shredded, and she was so graceful and polite. And then she's now on, obviously, the England development squad, working in the under-16s, and she throws buckets. She is a shredder, and she's fearless. She also never wears a hood. Like, when everyone else is freezing cold, she's still full red head exploding. I love, she's a ripper. Great shout, So, that's a hotly contested range of people. There is... when I met Zoe Smith last week, she certainly got my attention for incredible achievements. So as a female surfer, she's world champion para surfer. There's loads of great names. I caught up with Michelle, Lucas's mum, and he's making some real good progress in his recovery. She said she thinks he might even be back in the water in June.
Nice.
Which is amazing, because we want to see him back on his feet, which is cool. So let's move to the expo. Throughout the 3 days, what amazing things, and kind of like the ticket structure, and what can people get involved with?
Yeah, okay. So over the 3 days, so it's the 12th, 13th and 14th of September, the main site is at Newquay Sports Centre, which is in the heart of Newquay. There we have a expo village. So you kind of expect all the brands to be exhibiting the latest products, having workshops, breathwork courses, team riders signing posters, giving away stickers, that kind of classic expo vibe. Great food, cold drinks. We are building a purpose-built half pipe for skate demos. We're tweaking it. I can't say too much, but it will be quite a unique half pipe. Purpose-built pump track, beer garden. Just it's free to attend. So we're creating the platform for people to come and just hang out for the weekend, dip in and out. There at the sports centre, we are taking over the sports hall and turn that into the expo hall. So it sits about 800 people. A great AV team are coming in. And so we've got keynote presentations from likes of Coty, Patagonia are putting on a panel discussion, Surf Girl are doing a panel as well, Surfing England. So it'll be just a really great kind of place to hang out for a few days. And I think we live in such, it goes back to the digital thing. We live in such a digital world where you see so many people on Instagram and Google Meets and Teams that this kind of gets rid of the screens, and you get to meet the people that you might follow on Instagram, or you know, actually have real conversations in person.
Yeah, meeting your heroes.
Yeah. And then a few minutes kind of skate. We have Concrete Waves, where we'll have a number of skateboard contests going on. And obviously we have the Surf in England Junior Series event happening that weekend. And there's a second contest that's just being confirmed at the minute. So 2 surf events, 2 skate events, and then the Expo Village, which will just be a hive of activity.
Sounds an absolutely amazing place to come. If someone just froths about everything to do with surfing, or even someone that actually is just getting into surfing and wants to learn more about it, it's the place to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sounds like going to be a truly superb sort of 3 days. Get down to Newquay. I'm sure there's plenty of accommodation here, but it's going to fill up fast. And let's hope for good waves, good weather, so concrete waves not too slippy. And it's going to be an absolutely brilliant opportunity to showcase everything that is British surfing. Well, I think on that bombshell, Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure to get to know you. And I really am. I'm grateful as a father with my boys growing up for them to be able to enjoy surf magazines, a heritage that you and I both loved as kids. Is something that once gone is gone forever, and we need to keep those nostalgic things going. So thank you for resurrecting it from almost it going to the ashes. And it's going to be amazing to see how we really show what UK surfing is all about. Surf in England are going to be there. We're going to be having a booth, so thank you for allowing us to have a booth. And I'm hoping to capture as many episodes as I possibly can there with incredible industry leaders, inspirational role models in the surfing world. And if anyone out there is going to be attending or wants to be part of it, are there still spaces available for the expo? Yeah. So approach through Wavelength with Chris. And it would be amazing to be able to tell some more stories like you and I have shared today in future episodes. So thank you so much for coming on Off the Lip. Season 1 is done, and I can't wait to see who we get on in season 2.
I've been running from the wind. I can feel the darkness creeping in.
I'm Martin Ray, and I'm your host of Off the Lip, brought to you by Surfing England, the national governing body of surfing in England. Thank you to the Caravan and Motorhome Club, our headline sponsor, and to Mora Media House for creating these podcasts.
You should